When Mia and I celebrated our third wedding anniversary, everything seemed to be in perfect harmony. We weren't in any rush to start a family. We cherished our freedom, weekend getaways, spontaneous late-night movies, doing whatever we felt like. It was just us, enjoying life. Mia had this energy about her, a spark that never seemed to burn out. She was witty, intelligent, and just reckless enough to keep things exciting. But there was one thing about her I always noticed. Whenever she tried to lie, she couldn't maintain eye contact. I'd picked up on this early in our relationship, back when we were dating. She'd get nervous, glance to the side, and her hands would start fidgeting, as if searching for an escape. At first, it wasn't a big deal. In fact, I found it kind of charming, like having a built-in lie detector. That spring, Mia started bringing up the idea of needing a real vacation. She talked about how work was wearing her down and how a break was exactly what she needed. Beaches, cocktails, the whole escape package. I wasn't really into it. I had a big project at work and couldn't afford to take 2 weeks off. Besides, beaches weren't my thing. I'd take a mountain lodge or a city trip any day. But one evening, during dinner, Mia casually put down her fork and said, "Maybe I should just go without you this time." I wasn't thrilled by the idea. Her out there on beaches, hanging out in bars, it didn't sit well with me. But Mia smiled quickly and added, "I'll go with Jenna. Just a girls' trip, spa days, yoga on the beach, nothing wild, I promise." Jenna was her best friend, recently divorced and still living like it was spring break every weekend. I wasn't completely sold on the idea, but Mia looked so hopeful that I hesitated. I trusted her. So, I finally nodded. "All right," I said. "Go blow off some steam. Just don't end up on a reality show about party disasters." She laughed, clinked her glass against mine, and we moved on. At the time, I thought agreeing was a sign of how solid we were. Looking back, though, I see it for what it really was: how easy it is to be blind when you trust someone completely. The night before she left, I helped her book the flights and even gave her some extra cash for shopping or whatever else she might need. She was buzzing with excitement, and honestly, I felt good about it. We were just two people who trusted each other, no questions asked. But I had no idea that letting her go would turn out to be the biggest mistake of my life. Mia left on a Wednesday morning. I dropped her off at the airport, kissed her goodbye, and told her to have fun. The first few days were normal: selfies on the beach, boomerangs of her feet in the sand, videos of Jenna wiping out while trying to surf. She texted me late at night, "Miss you, Jimmy. Wish you were here." I missed her more than I thought I would. The house felt too big without her. But by day 5, the texts slowed down. No more videos, no more calls. I figured she was just having too much fun, or maybe her phone was out of service. But still, a knot started forming in my stomach. One night, around 11, I sent her a quick, "Good night, babe," text. It sat on read for hours before she finally replied with, "Night. Super tired. Love you." It didn't sound like her. Mia always added little hearts or inside jokes in her texts. This one felt distant, mechanical. The next morning, I texted again. No answer. I called around lunchtime, but it went straight to voicemail. I told myself I was just being paranoid. Jenna was probably being a handful, and Mia was just trying to keep up with her. Maybe they were off on some tour without cell service. But that night, lying in bed, couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was off. 2 days later, Mia messaged me again, but it was just a blurry photo of a market with the words, "Been busy, we'll catch up later." No miss you, no love you. I stared at my phone for a long time, the first flickers of suspicion creeping in. That moment should have been a clear warning, but instead, I convinced myself to wait. She'd be home soon, and I'd figure out whether I was just being paranoid or if something else was going on. Mia returned on Sunday evening. I picked her up at the airport, standing by baggage claim, feeling a mix of relief and something else I couldn't quite put my finger on. She looked great, sun-kissed, glowing, maybe a little too glowing. She threw her arms around me like everything was fine. "I missed you so much," she said, pulling me into a tight embrace. I hugged her back, but something felt wrong, like I was holding a stranger who smelled like my wife. During the drive home, she babbled on about her trip, the beaches, the food, the late-night bonfires. It was, "Jenna this, Jenna that." Her words felt rehearsed, almost scripted. When we got home, she dropped her suitcase in the living room with a sigh. "I'm dying for a shower," she said, heading upstairs. I lingered by the suitcase, hands in my pockets. "Hold up," I said, half joking. "You didn't come back empty-handed, did you?" She laughed a little too quickly. "Of course not." She knelt by the suitcase, rummaging through her clothes, moving things around. That's when I caught a glimpse of something out of place, lingerie, tucked between her regular clothes. Bright, lacy, and expensive-looking. It wasn't her style. Not even close. I didn't say anything, just watched as she froze, her hand hovering over a small black bag hidden beneath her clothes. She handed it to me slowly, as if it might burn her fingers, and flashed a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Got you some local rum," she said. "Supposed to be amazing." I took the bag, peered inside, and saw a bottle of rum wrapped in a cheap souvenir T-shirt with a cartoon dolphin on it. "Thanks," I said, setting it down. She laughed a little too loudly, shoved the suitcase aside, and disappeared into the bathroom. I stood there, holding the bottle and the silly T-shirt, wondering for the first time in our marriage what Mia had been up to while she'd stopped texting me. For the next few days, I tried to brush it off. Mia acted like everything was normal, maybe even too normal. She cooked dinner, laughed at my bad jokes, and even suggested a movie night like we used to have. But the more she acted like everything was fine, the more I noticed small, unsettling changes. Her phone never left her side. She'd changed her lock screen password. Late-night texts would come in that she quickly flipped face down. One evening, while she was in the shower, I glanced at her phone on the counter. A name popped up, Brady. The profile picture was of a tan guy with a cocky grin, no shirt. I didn't know any Brady. When she came out wrapped in a towel, I casually asked, "Who's Brady?" Her body tensed, but she forced a laugh. "Oh, just some guy Jenna and I met on the island. He organizes snorkeling tours." "Harmless?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "Right," she said, but something didn't sit right. "Harmless enough to text you at midnight?" Mia frowned. "You're reading too much into it, Jimmy." "Seriously," she said, kissing me quickly on the cheek before disappearing into the bedroom. That night, as she slept beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The weight of it all pressed down on me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The next day, while she was out at the grocery store, I decided to check the resort's Instagram. There were all sorts of posts, photos, videos, and reels, of tourists laughing, staff members fooling around. Then I found it. A video from a beach party, a bonfire at night, the music blasting. Front and center was Mia, laughing and dancing with a drink in her hand. Brady had his arm casually draped over her shoulders, and they were close, too close. Their faces were inches apart, like they were about to kiss. It hit me then, it wasn't just a vacation for Mia. She had an entirely separate life when I wasn't around. That night, I couldn't pretend anymore. After dinner, Mia was curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone, pretending not to notice the way I was watching her. I slammed my beer down a little too forcefully. "We need to talk," I said. She looked up, her expression casual. "About what?" "Brady," I said flatly. Her smile faltered for a split second, but she quickly regained her composure. "I told you he's just some guy," she began, but I cut her off. "I saw the video, Mia. The resort's page. You were all over him like a fan at a concert." She slowly set her phone down, her face paling. "You're overreacting," she said, her voice tight. "It was just dancing." I leaned forward, my voice colder than I meant it to be. "You were 2 seconds away from kissing him." The silence that followed hung heavy in the air. I waited, hoping she would admit the truth, or at least show some remorse. But instead she said, "You're paranoid, Jimmy. You're making something out of nothing." And there it was, the lie. I could tell she wasn't sorry for what she'd done. She was just sorry she'd been caught. I stood up. "Pack your things." She blinked at me, confused. "What now?" I stared at her, unyielding. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't flinch. She tried to talk her way out of it, but I wasn't listening. 15 minutes later, She was packing a bag, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. She paused at the doorway, suitcase in hand, mascara streaking down her face. "It didn't mean anything," she whispered. "I swear. I didn't say a word." I just closed the door behind her and locked it. The house felt eerily silent after she left. I sat there for a moment, staring at the door, before turning off the porch light and going to bed. The next few days were a blur. I didn't tell anyone right away. I worked, I slept, and I worked some more, anything to keep my mind occupied. Then Jenna called. Her voice was low, almost uncomfortable. "Jimmy, I think you should know. Mia's not doing well." "Yeah," I replied flatly. "Actions have consequences." Jenna hesitated. She went to the clinic. She wasn't feeling right. They did some tests. I didn't say anything, waiting for the punchline. "She tested positive for an STD," Jenna said quickly. "She thought you should get tested too, just in case." The final blow. Even after everything Mia had left behind, she'd left me one last mess. I thanked Jenna, hung up, and sat there for a long time, feeling a deep hollow anger, an anger without edges, just a heaviness that refused to go away. The next morning, I got tested. Thankfully, I was clear. 2 weeks later, the divorce papers were filed. No drama, no fighting over possessions. She didn't even contest it. I heard through a mutual friend that Mia had rented a tiny studio across town. The word was that she looked rough, thinner, paler, quieter. The same friend said Mia told people it was just a mistake. A stupid vacation fling. Mistakes have a way of costing you everything. It turns out, when someone burns down your life, it doesn't leave you wrecked forever. Once the ashes settle, there's a lot of space to rebuild. 6 months after Mia left, the house finally felt like mine again. I repainted the walls, tossed the old mattress, and bought a new one. Fresh sheets, fresh start. I even went on a real trip, no more sad escapes. I went to the mountains instead of the beaches. Cold air, big skies, and no one lying next to me pretending everything was fine. I spent my days hiking and my nights in places where my phone didn't work. Standing on a cliff, looking out over the valley below, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. Mia tried to reach out once, sending a long, rambling email filled with apologies and wishes to go back. I didn't respond. I deleted it without reading past the first line. A few weeks later, I went to a barbecue at a friend's house. Jenna showed up with her new boyfriend. At some point, I pulled him aside and quietly told him what really happened on that trip. I didn't want to blow up their relationship, but if Jenna was planning more girls' trips, I thought he deserved to know what they could really mean. He didn't say much, just nodded once, sharply and grimly. After that, I let it go. No revenge, no late-night rants, just me living the life Mia had thrown away. Better than ever. Sometimes, when I think about all that time I almost wasted tying myself to someone like her, I feel grateful. She gave me the best gift of all. She showed me exactly who she was. Before there were kids, before mortgages, before anniversaries stacked up like landmines. It's better to bury the marriage than bury yourself. I sleep a lot easier now, knowing that the next time I fall in love, it'll be with someone who knows how to hold eye contact when it matters.